for us to be truly sustainable, it wasn't just to make my own buildings green, but I had to somehow commit myself to this idea that we need to make every building a green building. But this isn't about me or my best-selling book, which you should all buy, which also comes in a pocket edition. The reason that I'm talking about this as an architect is because buildings are the worst offenders of all. Buildings are worse than any other form of industry, worse than cars in terms of their impact on the planet. Nearly half of all global warming emissions come from our buildings. Only 30% from our cars, and of that, 10% is passenger cars, the cars that you and I drive. So in terms of impact, buildings are responsible. Architects, engineers, designers, planners, contractors, we're to blame for the mess that we're in. But luckily we can change all that. People keep moving further and further out into the suburbs, and they give the suburbs these stupid names, right? If they call it Quail Run, then pretty much rest assured they've decimated all the quail in order to build the houses there. And what I've noticed is these houses don't really change, they just change names. If they're in Arizona, they call it Cactus Way, and if they put it in Palm Springs, they call it Dune Palms, and the houses still look the same. And we're building the same house in Alaska and Arizona, and it doesn't seem to matter. So maybe what we need is a better name for suburbia, something that's more appropriate. This is not Photoshop, by the way. This is a real place. And what's funny is the mayor of Shitterton says his biggest problem is that people steal the sign 4 times a year. In the 1940s, at a time of crisis, at a time of deep impact to all Americans, we asked Americans to make sacrifices. We asked them to do this for the greater good, for the name of victory. We told people to carpool, because if you rode alone, you rode with Hitler. Should we update this? Should we change this? Should this say if you ride alone, you ride with Osama bin Laden? Would that be appropriate? Look at what we asked people to do in the 1940s and see if this sounds familiar to you. Hike, carry your groceries, walk. Ask, is this trip really necessary? And to do this in the name of victory. Maybe what we need to do is redefine victory. When you finally arrive home, what you arrive to is essentially the same throughout the country. And the sad part is that 1 in 4 houses are built by these 8 builders. And in 10 years, it'll be 1 in 2. Is this the future that we want for ourselves? You'll be happy to know that Paris Hilton built herself a doghouse for her little puppies at a cost of $325,000 for the doghouse. Now, I was talking to my friend Cameron about this, who runs a nonprofit called Architecture for Humanity, and he said, do you know that I could build 6 houses for poor people for what she paid for her doghouse? And that really starts to put things in perspective for me. Things like this, well, I guess they're bound to happen, but things like this lead me to this idea of extinction. This notion that maybe we as a human race should be extinct. Maybe there are things that we should make extinct. Things like the light bulb, right? They say that'll be gone by next year. The incandescent light bulb replaced by better, more energy-efficient alternatives. They say the ashtray will be extinct by 2015 because, well, nobody smokes indoors anymore, right? They say that the printed yellow pages by 2020, extinct, gone. Who needs it anyway, right? Skinny people by 2025, gone. Screw them, who needs them? Oil by 2035, whether we want to or not, oil's gone by 2035. That's just inevitable consequence. And then the venerable printed newspaper, that'll hold on till 2050. And maybe these things should be extinct. Maybe they should go away. But what about all the unintended things? Things that are going to be extinct that we didn't plan on. Things that we need. Things that we want. That are going to be extinct because of our poor choices. Things like the polar ice caps, gone by 2020, if not sooner. The cute little harmless polar bear by 2020, if not sooner. All of our wood by 2030. 96% of our old growth wood in this country is gone, which is why we get all of our wood from Canada now. All of our fresh water by 2035. 1.1 billion people on the planet don't have access to clean drinking water, and in 10 years it'll be 2/3 of the population of the planet. And then, of course, fresh air, that'll be gone by 2040. Do we need to wait for these things to get to this level, to this brink of extinction, before we take action, before we do something, before we make smarter choices about our buildings? Hopefully not. Winston Churchill said that I always expect Americans to do the right thing, but only after they've exhausted every other possible option. Are we bound to repeat this? Are we bound to do this over and over again? On his deathbed, Thomas Edison said, you know, if I had any money, I'd put it into solar technology. I hope we don't wait until we run out of oil and run out of coal before we tackle that. This is in 1931. Can you imagine he must be rolling in his grave, because that's been our strategy, that's been our plan. We've essentially pushed ourselves into this corner where we're now seen by the world as oilholics, addicted to oil, fighting with China over the last scraps of oil, while other countries, smarter countries, are taking it upon themselves to be independent. Countries like Brazil inventing a whole new economy based on sugar and powering their cars with sugar. But the best ad I think I've seen for global warming is probably this one. Because if we don't stop it, all our Reese's are going to melt. So damn it, let's all pull together, let's do something about it, let's change the way we build our building. In the 1940s, at a time of crisis, we asked people to be better than what they were. We asked people to pull up and become scientists, to become doctors. We asked people to become inventors. And to do this in the name of victory. We can do this again. All it takes is willpower. We should all start thinking like my hero, Willy Wonka, and think more in those terms, and be more like him and how he would solve a problem. Let's be creative and address this in a new way. That being said, I want to leave you with one bit of advice, that we must all be the change we wish to see in the world, so said Gandhi. And all of you are now tasked, I've all knighted you, green designers. And you're all now tasked with this idea that you're going to dedicate yourselves and your work to changing the world for a better place. Okay, now I'm going to give you some homework. You probably weren't expecting this, but I'm going to do it anyway. 5 things that I want you to try to do. The first thing is, I want you to do something. Take some action, damn it. And not, I feel guilty, so I'm going to recycle more. I mean, real action. Think big. I'm going to start an organization that's going to get people together to do blank. And if you don't know where to start, look around you, because you have co-conspirators right with you that can help. Well, there you go. Second, if any of this interests you, don't keep it a secret. Tell other people. Oh my God, I saw this guy with a big nose tonight that told me this wild story about sustainability, and you need to hear about this too, and you need to get involved, and we need to change the way we look at the world. That's how change happens. Third, if you're a designer, take the time to fill your library with green materials and finishes. If you have it, you might actually use it. If you don't know what to order, we have a list on our website you can download for free. I'm happy to give it to you. Fourth is make a list of things that you will not compromise. If you're a designer, if you're an engineer, whatever you do, make a list of things in your project that you just feel so strongly about that you're just going to do these automatically. Green things that you're going to force on your clients, because it's much easier that way. Why are we still asking them permission to do the right thing? Why are we still going to our clients and saying, can I please not put toxic paints in your house, please? Silly. And fifth and most important, if all of this seems overwhelming, if it all seems intimidating, and it is, just pick one thing. One thing that you can become champion of. One thing that you're going to learn everything about. And find ways to make it more accessible to people, more enjoyable to people, more easier for people to understand. And learn everything you can about that one thing. And then that's how you can be the change you wish to see in the world. That being said, I want you all to check out my nonprofit that I work for called Urban Revision, urbanrevision.com. You can check it out and see how you can get involved. We essentially build sustainable cities all over the country as a nonprofit, which is kind of fun. And you can download this presentation here. Otherwise, my time is up. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for not throwing anything. And thank you.